So tonight is a very special night. We have a group of people who have traveled a very long way. And I'm going to start us off with a video that explains why they're here and why they're being honored by UCSB.
And Westmont.
And Westmont.
Our program at Exploring Solutions Past.
So that is a little bit of the history behind what we're doing here tonight. And earlier today, one of our panelists, who I'll talk about more later, was actually given the prestigious Chancellor's Award at UCSB, which is a really big deal. And tonight we get to honor him as well, and the rest of the panel that we have with us. I think the bottom line of what tonight is about is witnessing the example that these people have given us of how to elevate Indigenous voices, honor ancient traditions, and apply them as we engage with the results of climate change here in Santa Barbara. Everything that they're doing in Belize and Guatemala, and as part of preserving Maya culture, is applicable to what we're experiencing here right now. And I hope that you all see that tonight. So without further ado, I would like to present Dr. Anabel Ford, Master Forest Gardener Narciso Torres, who received the prestigious Chancellor's Medal today. Ish Jaman Felicita Cantun. We practiced that pronunciation before tonight, and I still got it wrong. It's Ish Shaman Felicita Cantun. Is that better? Ish Shaman. Everyone get that right. Okay. And Ambassador of the Garifuna Nation, Cynthia Ellis Topsey. Thank you all so much. Cynthia, do you mind sitting at the end so that everyone can see you? I put myself in this little chair that's kind of less visible, but we want everyone to know what you look like and who you are. Perfect, thank you. Don't they all look great? I'm just so happy that they're here. So first of all, I have a general question for each of you. Would you each explain in maybe a minute or so how you are connected to El Pilar and the Maya culture?
Do I go first?
Yes.
I'm an archaeologist, and I study the ancient Maya, and I actually put El Pilar on the archaeological map. I found it archaeologically. It was there all the time. It wasn't like, it was missing. I just found it.
I just want to say a word, two words in Maya, because I'm not out of practice. Say, malo akap titulakares. That means good night to all of you. I am a descendant of the Maya. When I walk in Pilar with Dr. Anabel Ford, I always will recognize a mound where they were once there in the past. So even if some people that have the study of archaeology, they don't really understand it. So I teach them and I show them how I know that this was a old building in the past. So people were amazed with how I did it, but I know that my grandparents or somewhere were around.
Bishop Ellis, Hachki Makenwol,
tumen yanen wa ichilesh. Anyone who can translate what I said, I will take it to Ellise. Okay, I said, how are you? How are you? I'm so glad to be here amongst you. Beautiful, handsome, beautiful ladies, handsome young men, lovers of nature. I know you are one of those. That's why you are here. Now, El Pilar, when you go to El Pilar is the force that awakens the creative power that is in each one of us. Don't you ever doubt it. We have the power. Thank you.
Okay. Buiti that is good evening or good night in Garifuna. And he said, no, I love you in Garifuna. So I'm connected here with you. My heart beats with yours like yours as a heart for humanity. And it's not accidental that I am on one end and Dr. Anabel is on the other end, because we are pillars in El Pilar, two women walking on the same path, coming from two different cultural perspectives, but walking as one. I met Dr. Anabel Ford some years ago when my ancestral husband, Harriet Topsey, who was the head of archaeology for Belize, had transitioned. He died 27 years ago. And I went in search of archaeologists who knew him. And I remember the name Anabel Ford in our home, because as a mother and a grandmother, I am concerned about the legacy for the children, not only in Belize, but for the world. So I went and I met her, not knowing who she was. And little did I know that my father, Godsman Ellis, had also been a part of this El Pilar journey. So it is a privilege and it is an honor to be with you tonight, as you're a part of this journey that will transition us for changing a number of the challenges in humanity. He said it no. In Garifuna, that song is calling us to heal each other, with each other, through nature and the plants.
Can we just give them a round of applause one more time? I think their message tonight, what they have to say, is very different than what we're used to hearing at Westmont, and I think that's part of what makes it so valuable. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Ford, who is my aunt, by the way. Just want to make that super clear. We're going to ask them some questions.
And we'll take questions from the audience as well, because I'm sure you're going to have them. But I thought I'd start out with asking my Belize delegation from the Maya Forest one of the questions that really, I think, propels us in a lot of different ways. I want to know how the ancient traditions, how you see the ancient traditions as relevant today and helping us in the future. I think we heard a lot about the ideas today, but maybe we start with Ms. Cynthia.
Ancient is in the DNA of all of us, and the beauty of this journey with Maya Forest Gardening is that if we think about it, all of us are forest gardeners, if we really think about it. As Garifuna, I'll just say a little bit about Garifuna. Garifuna, we are people who were never enslaved. And in Belize, we were brought to Central America, and we worked very closely with the Maya through the Catholic Church at the time. And I was delivered by a Maya midwife. So what that means is that many of us grow up not making a distinction in our cultures. So I am an honorary Maya, and the Maya are honorary Garifuna. So we interact in a very beautiful way in Belize, where we don't make a major distinction. My mother delivered me in a place called August Pine Ridge in Orange Walk, where Sister Felicita comes from. And there she had to learn many of the practices of the Maya people. So when you come to Belize, I didn't say if you come to Belize, you will be privileged to learn a way of being, an authenticity with our food, with our plants, our interaction between that relationship, which El Pilar has provided for us. In Belize, we have over 900 Maya sites, and El Pilar is the most distinctive for me. I go and I bathe, I do forest bathing when I follow this young lady over here. No, she moves faster now than she did when she was 19 years young, coming to Central America. And we call ourselves two women walking on the same path. It's a novella, but we have a twist on it, you know, where we are very amazed at the things we learn from each other, balancing the excitement of the ancient Maya. Every time I visit El Pilar, which is quite often, I learn something new about the ancient wisdom, which is not written in books. You have to be there to experience it spiritually, emotionally, physically, and know that there's wisdom in antiquity, which is still present through my brother and sister here, and also myself, because I'm Maya as well.
I'm asking whose turn is it?
It's your turn, and we want to know.
I don't know if you are like me. Teacher would ask the question, and by the time she comes to me, I have already forgotten what she asked.
The question is, ancient traditions, are they relevant to today?
As a spiritual leader, nature is so, we need to be so connected with Mother Nature. And these are things that we are forgetting. Most of us do not dare to walk barefooted. How many of you would walk barefooted? So if you would know the benefits of walking barefooted on the ground, you won't spend hundreds of dollars buying a tennis. Anyhow, but it's I am so connected to Mother Earth. And we must learn to live with Mother Nature. Most of us don't know how to live with Mother Earth. You go about, I don't know, but in Belize, children suck the ideals or they buy chips. Most of them would, after finishing the chips, they would just throw the wrap on the ground. That's not the way we should be living. Sometimes you are just walking, and you are standing underneath a tree, and without knowing, you are just pulling the leaves of the tree. Why are you doing that? Would you like if somebody's behind you pulling your hair? Of course not. You would feel it. We must learn to live with Mother Earth because she is the best mother. She gives us all what we need. She gives us the air we breathe. Without air, none of us can live for more than 3 minutes. So we get that from the plants. She gives us medicine. I seldom go to the, how you call this place where they sell pills and to the pharmacy. Why should I go when I have it on the trees? I have the oregano, I have the rosemary, I have the mint, I have the lemongrass, we even had a cure for COVID.
Yes, we do.
That was why not much people died of COVID in Belize. So you see, Mother Nature gives us without, she would never say, no, you can't get it. No. We breathe, we do not even worry where our next breath will come from, where the oxygen will come from. And you know how expensive oxygen is? You don't know? It's so expensive. Whenever you're in the hospital, something is wrong with your lungs, and they have to put the oxygen to buy a tank. It's lots of money. And Mother Nature gives it to us at no price, at no cost. So think about that, young men, young women. We get it from Mother Nature. We get the food. I love all those fruits that were there. I think I had 2 servings. Where do they come from? You would say from the, how you call this place where you go and buy the fruits? The store. But no, it comes from the trees. Where I live, we build our houses with what we find in the forest. So we get everything from Mother Nature. So I would encourage you to love Pachamama, to love Mother Earth. I can see, I can feel your emotions. And I can see that you are people who will make a change. The change that we need. It has to come from you, from me. Don't expect it to come from somebody else. Thank you.
Thank you. I think what I heard from you is that we need to realize how much we love the earth in order to protect it. Yeah. Narciso, do you remember the question? Shall we say it again?
Can you repeat, please?
It's ancient traditions. Are ancient traditions relevant to the future?
Oh, ancient.
Or your traditions? Is your traditional knowledge?
Well, what I'm really doing for a better world, I'm taking care of all voluntary plants that are appear in my farm that are useful, beneficial, or edible, or medicinal. But because there's a lot of people that don't care about killing plants, but the benefit of them that they give us, is very essential to life and for health. I kind of feel sad that not a lot of people are doing the right thing. So we need to have young people like you to encourage the other generation that are coming behind, the younger ones, because we are doing our part, but maybe we can't go too far doing this. But promise that as long as I have life, I will continue doing this thing that I say, conserving and preserving the endangered species. I have a little plot of land that I turned into a forest garden. First, I used to use all the land to plant crops, but now I'm doing differently because there is many many species that are endangered. So I'm bringing them to my farm to save them, because people want to harvest like lumber, but they don't plant a tree again. And that's very wrong, because we people that harvest, they need to put back again. Because if not, we are having less and less every time. And where the seed will come to make a next tree, if they don't give the opportunity to this tree to develop and become a mature tree and start to produce a seed. So we need to make a bigger effort to encourage people not to do this kind of action, because it's not correct for us humans, because we need them, because we need the continuous of this plant, because if we don't let them produce the seed, we'll be eradicating them from the earth, and then and sometimes most of them can be medicinal plants, even though they could be a lumber plant or for lumber, but they also have other sides that are effective for medicine. But people, not everyone is aware, but that's why I'm saying it to people that, many things have two sides, everything have two sides. And one, sometimes they are, we have some kind of wood in Belize that we call it poison wood, but even that poison wood have part of it that is medicinal if you know to use it in the proper way. They have benefits for us too. So bad things and good things have good sides.
Well, you've heard the heart and the soul and the things that actually have attracted me to better understand people who are native to the place I work, which is the Maya forest. I'm going to give a more pragmatic reason that I'm here and that I have been interested in getting to know Felicita and Cynthia and, of course, Narciso. Narciso has worked with me for over 40 years. It was 40 years ago, he opened a gate, and then we asked if he needed a job. That's how we got to know him. I was doing survey, and my main objective as I started my career, about like you, I was just your age when I first went on a project in Belize and Guatemala, and I saw all that forest, and I thought, well, the civilization here in this forest. And when I was 4 years old, I was in Rome. I went to the Forum. I thought my father was Roman because he'd always have those quotes, friends, Romans, and countrymen, but I didn't realize that was Shakespeare, And then when I was 14, I went to Babylon. All of these are civilizations. All of them have hierarchies, have leaders, and have people who are farmers. And of course, I'm mainly interested in houses and people, and I thought there's got to be something in common. And I was an anthropology major. I think there might be a few anthro majors here. And I really thought that it would be really important to understand what was the common ground between Rome, between Indus, Egypt, Babylon, and where I was becoming attracted to. I actually was on my way to Patagonia. I've never been to Patagonia. I got trapped in the Maya forest. But while I wanted to study environment and settlement, I knew there was something more, and I didn't really know how to find it, but I could see that the farmers of the ancient Maya, which I'm studying the ancient Maya settlement patterns, the settlement patterns of the Maya, they're farmers. This is an agrarian civilization. 99%, what is it, the 99, are farmers. So the patterns I'm looking at are farming patterns. And when I started my field work, the sort of the dogma was the Maya destroyed the forest, that the Maya land use contemporary people like Narciso were using slash and burn was very bad, and all sorts of things like this. But as I came to understand people like Narciso, I learned that slash and burn was not bad. Slash and burn, if it's the vanguard, the poor person who has no land at all and needs to have, in 60 days, something to eat, they will slash and burn and have a maize crop in 60 days. They won't care about it doesn't matter if they cut down a zapote or a avocado or some other tree that is of importance, or even bushes that are important, because they are hungry. That's called vanguard. It's a family of people who don't have land. But those people that have land are embedded in that forest. And then the forest itself, all the economic botanists are telling me every plant there is useful. So how do I put this all together? You meet someone like Narciso, he doesn't teach me like I might teach you, like what you have to learn, the Maya lived between, the civilizations 250 to 900 current era or something like that. He practices it. And you've heard their heart, but the practice, you go somewhere and somehow there's knowledge that I didn't even know. And I'll tell you a couple of stories. The first year, he worked with us in 1983 and 1984. In 85, I wanted to go back to a particular site, which was an obsidian. And I don't know if you know, but obsidian is imported from Highland, Guatemala, over 300 air kilometers away to the lowlands. And I went to a small house site, and there's tons of obsidian. They were making blades of obsidian there. I mean, there's other things they could use, but they were using that. I wanted to go back, and I had Narciso and a couple of other people, and I don't know how you look when you have the big question mark on your head, but I'm saying, don't you know, you drive up here, you turn left there, you do this and that. All of them looked like I was talking, I don't know, gibberish. But all of a sudden I started talking about how we were walking there, and Narciso says, donde estaba el aguacate, where the avocado tree is. He was mapping by avocado, and he knew that the avocado would produce avocados in August, and it was an important thing to note. I know an avocado tree, I'm not that stupid, but I did not take it in and didn't say, remember where the avocado tree is, and he'd say, okay. Countless things like this. I was walking with another wonderful person, his name is Carmen, and I told him, I think in this area, someone told me there's a stream. Where I work, there's almost no surface water. In the Maya area, it's all limestone, and it's capricious. It sucks like a sponge, all the water. No surface water. It's a rainforest, It's raining there, not like it's raining here. Anyway, he said, oh, okay. So we're walking along, and then pretty soon he just turns straight down, and we go to someplace within 50 meters, and there's running water. And I looked at him, I said, how did you do this? Now, I'm not an ethnographer, I come out straight. I want to know, how did that happen? He was really worried. Did he do something wrong? He says, but you asked. I said, yeah, but how did you find it? How did you do that? Vi un bicho. A bicho is a bug. This is what I do when I vi un bicho. I go like this. That bicho was a damselfly. Damselflies cannot live without running water. So I see water, or raining on me, as we've seen lately, or streaming down, floods. He saw water with a little bug. So, I mean, that is ecological knowledge. That is not something, you map by where the trees are, you recognize where water is by a bug. I mean, these are really subtle kinds of practices, and you can't learn that unless you're walking behind these people. And now, people like Narciso, their sons aren't walking behind them. They're going and learning, they get their tablet, they think computers are where it's at. They're not realizing that we have to eat good food. So when I go look at good food, the site I'm working at, we're mapping houses, and now we know it's a milpa cycle. It's a cycle where they clear 1/5 of the land is cleared in little plots that you can manage, and those go in. At 4 years, you're getting your crop out of that. 8 years, it's growing in succession, and 8 years, it's maturing. So if you want, for example, to have avocado today, you had to plant it 4 or 5 years ago. This is a plant. This is not subtle. And you're not going to just do that without thinking about it. And you're not going to want an avocado when it's not time to have an avocado. I remember talking to you laugh, but you eat it at the station. So it comes, and that's when you love avocado. We have a time when mangoes. In fact, I love mangoes until the end of June. You've had mangoes every day by the end of June, and they're starting to get old. Someone goes, I have all these all these mangoes, but yet maybe Doña Juana has the best ones, and you just go over and visit her. This is what I learned also. You go visit Doña Juana, and you shoot the breeze, you ask her how her daughter is and what's happening, and oh, look at that thing that's happening over there. And just as you're leaving, but don't you want any mangoes? Well, that's why. And the lashing, the trees that don't produce, you lash them. And if they don't produce the next time, you lash them and you tell them, if you won't produce next year. And that's the regeneration. Anyway, I don't know if that answers the tradition. These traditions are fabulous, and they really tell us a lot about the landscape. We open up to the floor?
Yes. First of all, let me just say, when Dr. Ford, it's weird to call you that, when she says that avocados aren't avocados, I want you to think about how the bananas in the DC taste. Those are flowers. They're not bananas yet. That's what we're talking about. Just kidding. We love you, DC. In academic terms, what this panel is talking about is folk biology. And I just want to say really quick that I study folk biology, and one of the most shocking facts that I learned about American college students is that at a certain large university that I won't name, only 1 in 6 undergraduates could identify a tree beyond tree. As in, couldn't say pine tree, couldn't say oak tree, couldn't say maple. And one of the messages that I always come back to when I hear these people speak is that we need to be interconnected with our earth, and we need to know what's around us in order to benefit from it. So with that, I'm going to open it to students for questions. Anyone have a question for the panel? I always have plenty of questions, but
There got to be questions.
What about your cure for COVID?
Cure for COVID, my goodness.
What was the question?
What is the cure for COVID? I just wanted to congratulate Niece for setting up this panel. But one of the things, and it links to the question, right? One of the things about healing has to do with relationships and attitude, relationship to self, relationship to environment, relationship to nature, and that's connected to our relationships with each other. And I want to say that I'm a mother of 5 children and 17 grandchildren and counting. And I do this work. I'm on this journey for those children and also for you, for present and future generations. So I don't label myself, nothing with how Miss Felicita is defined, but I don't label myself as a healer or a shaman or whatever. No disrespect meant. Healing comes from within, acknowledging the sense of power within and the environment. And I want to acknowledge Vanessa to the back. Please stand up. She's a principal of a high school in Belize. And she's been very supportive of working with young people in Belize. And my vision and dream is to connect young people to young people around the world. And so she would provide that opportunity. So she has an agenda being here, right? That the young people from the school or in Belize would be connected. So I want to congratulate you for this conversation because one of our passion and our intention is the integration of this knowledge into our curriculum. And we won't discuss it, but El Pilar initiative, we have a memorandum of understanding with the government of Belize to have this as a part of the school curriculum at all levels. But back to COVID and the healing. Healing begins with tapping with the power you have within. There's knowledge that is not like a formula. It's not like a DNA. Let me just tell you from the Garifuna perspective. From the Garifuna perspective, my healing depends on you, and your healing depends on me. And we have a number of conversations and rituals related to that. So the knowledge of the plants for indigenous people is not just, well, like in this book, plant X cures cancer, or plant X cures whatever. It is an integrated relationship, and it is contextual within a sense of yourself, what is in your DNA ancestrally. You had the question about antiquity and the ancestors and so on, right? Where is Frida and the president of the Garifuna Nation? You can talk with them later. Those are Garifuna resource people here. So it's like, when you ask me about a cure for COVID, it's not that I cure, you know. It's cure within the dynamics of the cosmology then, the cosmology. And we'd have to spend like a whole year having a course on this, but I'm just putting it in small change, as you say, right? And so we believe, like my mother, for example, talks to the plants and sings to the plants. And as a child, delivered by a Maya midwife, I almost died. And my healing came through a dream that a mother had about a plant, which we call physic nut, which is in this book I could show you later. So I had a calling to come to the United States in the highest point of COVID. And I visited how many points? 27. In the height of COVID. And I never got COVID. Why? Because of this indigenous state of being and knowing. Now, we have a plant that we call vervain in Belize, which we use, and there are many other plants. But for me to say that vervain cures COVID would be simplifying something that's very intricate. It is my belief, it is my faith, it is my walk, it is my sense of knowingness of who I am that heals. Simplifying, very complex, but we can talk later.
Thank you, Cynthia. I think it's important to note with COVID, this is not in opposition to vaccines. We're bringing into dialogue Western and South American, Central American ways of healing. The environment has a lot to do with it. Totally, yeah. So more questions about holistic healing, homeopathy are welcome during the reception. Let's maybe get a little more broad. Does anyone have questions about the themes of the talk? I think we're going to do one more question, then we'll go to the reception. Anyone have a question? and the bathroom. Yes.
How has colonization, like the impacts of like Spanish presence, influenced sort of El Pilar and the Maya?
Luis, are you willing to come up and answer that question?
Luis. Was that Luis?
This is a question that
He has some strong.
deserves a strong answer. Yeah. Do you want to come to the podium? Would that be okay? Or you can have the handheld mic?
Explain who you are and why you're here too.
While I do that, if there's a microphone, somebody asked to repeat the question again because they couldn't hear it. So if we could bring her the microphone, or if you could come up here and ask the question. Yeah, I'm just following instructions.
It's a deep question. You got it.
Okay, so I asked what are the impacts of colonization and the Spanish presence in that part of the world? How did that impact the Mayan forest and these ancient healings, ancient practices of healing with plants, and kind of, yeah, the legacy of colonialism that is still there?
That's why I asked you.
Dr. Ford, thank you. I don't know if I should thank you for putting me on the spot like this, but this is Dr. Ford for you. My name is Luis Marcos. I'm honored to be here again. And you wanted me to say a little bit about, yeah. And so I belong to the Kanhobal Maya Nation. Our territory is divided by the borders of the northwestern part of Guatemala and the southern part of Mexico. I live now on the traditional homeland on the territory of the Omaha Nation in what's now known as the state of Nebraska and Iowa. The impact of, and just to say that Maya territory extends from the southern part of Mexico, the entire state of Guatemala, and Belize in the northwestern portions of El Salvador and Honduras are all contemporary states on Maya territory. And to your question specifically, Spanish or colonization, I think, is the world. Belize is a commonwealth, and I will not do justice to really explain why the primary language in Belize is English, because it's an English. By Britain, it's, yeah. But to go to the essence of the question is the impact of colonization. First and foremost, thank you for the question. Second, it's an honor to be here, and it's so good that we are here and we can see each other and talk to each other and have a mind-heart, connection, hopefully. I can't help it but go to something that is called an international legal construct known as the doctrine of discovery. And the doctrine of discovery consists of a series of legal documents issued by the Pope of the Catholic Church during the 15th centuries. That basically dehumanizes indigenous peoples, calling them savages, calling us enemies of Christ, calling us basically taking away our humanity so that to justify the killings and the genocides that has happened in the continent. Basically, right now, we're not even considered humans. So it is a very, very painful process that we are living. I think we have come a long ways, but it's a very, very painful process to really just even reestablish our humanity. The colonial states on our territory have three policies. Number one, kill or exterminate. Number two, if you can't kill and if you can't exterminate, exclude. And after excluding, if there is a little bit that needs to be given, it has to come with, this forced assimilation. Exterminate, exclude, or forcefully assimilate. Those are the three forces that we are dealing with today as we speak. Basically, you heard our spiritual authorities talk about Earth as being our mother, and that's the primary reason that, colonial states wants to get rid of us. I will just conclude with this one, and really I wasn't ready to talk, but I will just conclude by saying that I am here because since colonization, there has been many cycles of attempts to disappear the Maya people. And one cycle that reached the attention of the international community took place between 1960 and 1989. The state of Guatemala committed genocide against the Maya people. They committed over 600 massacres. They completely burned down over 400 villages. They killed, tortured, disappeared over 200,000 people, and millions had to migrate. Today in the United States, easily, conservatively, 1.5 million people of Maya origin live here. In the state of Nebraska, where I come from right now, it's about 15 to 20,000. In the city of Omaha alone, about 4,000 people, just guesstimating. And I'll just conclude by saying this. When I say the state of Guatemala committed genocide, it's really important for you to know, and that also the United States government is a partner in this, because Efrain Rios Montt, who committed the genocide, graduated from the School of the Americas here in the United States. So the training came from the United States government. The financing of this war came from the United States government, and the weaponry came from the United States government. I'll just say this as a Anjo Balmaya citizen, but also as a US citizen, that we have that responsibility to know history. And I'll also say that the papal bulls that came from the Catholic Church, it's very convenient for Christianity in general. So what I'm trying to say, this is exactly going back to what Cynthia said earlier. My healing depends on you, and your healing depends on me. We really need to know history to rebuild our common humanity. We cannot rebuild from ignorance. I really thank you for your question. I hope I really spoke from the heart, and I hope that it helps. And so, thank you.
I just needed to add since Louis brought the issue about the English or the British. We are the only English-speaking country in Central America, Belize. And as Garifuna, we were genocided and continue to be genocided. We are all over the world. And as we were never enslaved because we continued to be a resistant people, like the Maroons. And the United Nations declared the Garifuna people as a gift to humanity, a masterpiece culture, because the question is asked, how is it we were able to survive in the midst of all these atrocities? So I won't go into the details except to say that we are on the entire Atlantic, the coast of Central America, and almost every day our people are being murdered in Honduras for holding on to the sacredness of our lands. So any more discussion we can have during the break. Thank you.
These are hard acts to follow, but I want to just say that these traditions we're talking about and the voices that we're trying to bring out here are things that I have heard, and I don't know what you know about the Maya, but when I started field work, the Maya had destroyed the forest. That was common. It was published in 2012 in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Science. It said that they destroyed the forest. Well, they said it in a different way, but basically they destroyed the environment and that caused their collapse. And I think today we see right now that they didn't disappear. They're right here. And the reason why the Academy has not acknowledged the Milpa cycle is because they didn't understand it and didn't ask. It is a very vital, the civilization of the Maya, those big pyramids were not built when on empty stomach. And all the little houses, we've mapped 2,700 platforms that had to have perishable buildings over them. Where's that? Where are the posts? Where are the beams? Where's the thatching? It had to be right there. And when I just talked, I've figured out how the Maya used this landscape. Like I said, 1/5 was in active annuals, and the rest was regenerating into perennials. And that was a moving. If you're interested, I'll give you some of my papers so you can see. But that movement, so if you came and you were a Western person, a colonial power from Britain or from England or wherever, or even an archaeologist, and you see, they call it shifting agriculture. It is shifting, but it's shifting in the context of that other parts that we need. The medicine you were saying, the pharmacy, all those things. And that's why I say that we can understand the Maya, and from that we will understand how to sustain ourselves on the landscape native to the place. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Cynthia, Felicita, Narciso, and Anabel. Thank you, Ellise. We're gonna go to the reception. You guys jumped it a little bit, so I don't know how much food is left, but no, I'm kidding. If you have questions for these panelists that you didn't get to ask, if you just want to talk or say hi, we're learning different ways of knowing tonight. So I really hope you know they'd love to meet you and say hi and answer any questions you have. That's it. One more round of applause for our panel.